Welcome to the Hey You Got a Minute podcast. I'm sitting with Emmett Fortosky, who is a part of the TD Jazz Intensive, upcoming in coordination with the Jazz Festival. What is the TD Jazz Intensive?
The TD Jazz Intensive is a camp oriented around instructing youth that are interested in jazz music, and we include like vocalists as well as instrumentalists in the whole program. And it's all about trying to showcase young talents, so giving the young musicians a chance to perform. Is what happens at the end of the week. But the main focus is actually around giving students instruction around jazz music in general, because it's not really as focused on throughout the year. So this is a great opportunity for students anywhere from high school to university level as well, to work with, in my opinion, like a world-class faculty. We have David Braid, who's kind of a legend, living legend right now, and he's still actually like relatively young. But then we also have people like Mo Leifer coming in too. So it's really going to be a great camp, I think, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
And what's your specific role, or what kind of group are you working with at this camp?
Yeah, I'll be the bass faculty member.
Yeah.
So specifically, I'm going to be focusing with a lot of the electric and upright bass players. And with what's kind of cool about this camp in general is that there's a lot of the roles are pretty malleable. So my main focus is going to be on instructing bass, but then roles can kind of change a little bit depending on if we need to focus on some rhythm section stuff. I'm going to hopefully be helping out with some of that area. And there's also opportunities for people to work on specific improvisation skills. That will be more the focus of some other instructors, but there's a lot of different ways that I can get involved in it, as well as the rest of the instructors can work towards their strengths.
So as a former student of the TD Sask Jazz Intensive, what was the main thing that future students or potential applicants can look forward to in learning or get out of the program?
I was a huge fan of the individual work, or like masterclass kind of work.
Okay.
When I was in the program, Soren Neeson was the instructor for most of it, for bass, and he was pretty much like one of the main reasons why I continued doing jazz bass specifically. And with that, one of the other main components that I really like is having the different combos that get set up. So this always changes a little bit year to year because this program is very malleable. But in years past, there have always been different combos that are established that I think is a great way to meet other musicians and to get opportunities to figure out, hey, do you guys know Autumn Leaves? I know Autumn Leaves. Let's play Autumn Leaves. Let's figure out how this works. And you kind of develop this idea of like a bass language. Because as you develop more and more into jazz, or in any genre really, you kind of understand that there's like bass songs you should know, basic songs that are kind of part of the repertoire.
Yeah.
And that was a huge part of the program that I really liked. We would go through different standards, and sometimes we read our own material, but they usually all be based within like this kind of idea of the large overarching jazz idiom.
So I mean, you've been playing instruments since you were 5. You were part of the TD Jazz Intensive for 10 years. So what kind of personal projects on the side throughout the year, or even just upcoming, what do you kind of have lined up?
I play regularly with Ellen Fraze, who's a great singer-songwriter from Saskatoon. Well, she's from just outside Saskatoon on a dairy farm. But so that's one of the main projects I play with. When I play with her, we're called Ellen Fraze and the Hot Toddies, which is it was a fun name that we kind of developed just as kind of like different band inside jokes happen.
Yeah.
Then I also play with Mini Vandal, a ska punk band. I also play with my own project. It's called the Emmett Fortosky Group. And we're actually going to be hosting a jazz jam at the basement on May 23rd, which is great. It's an all-ages jam. That's coming up on Thursday. I'm also subbing in with the Saskatoon Youth Orchestra Chamber Orchestra, sorry. I'm subbing in with them on this Saturday, which this will be
probably today.
Yeah.
It'll be today.
Yeah, it'll be coming up right away. So yeah, I'll be doing that stuff. And then one of the projects I'm really looking forward to coming up right away is called the Prairie Roots Ensemble with Keisha Leonard. And so with that particular group, it's a project that's kind of a passion project that's turned into something that can become more frequent, where some of my friends, Colin Grant as well as Rory Lynch, We ended up doing this as a capstone project for our jazz certificates through the University of Saskatchewan. We started to develop arrangements that we thought were kind of unique or incorporating different ideas from different genres or even different types of art, and creating a concert around it. So last year we did a concert with Dash Reimer, where we incorporated spoken word poetry with the jazz music. And then this particular edition of this ensemble is going to be focusing on doing jazz arrangements of folk tunes that are mainly written by Kasia Leonard, but they're also going to be kind of a couple other more standard folk tunes that we're going to be doing. And we take a lot of pride in focusing on local talent for that particular ensemble, and really trying to be as inclusive as possible. We've donated, or actually we're in the process of donating tickets to Open Door Society, so that we can get some different newcomers to Canada, give them the opportunity to come should they want to a concert like that. Dean McNeil, a mentor and friend of mine, that's some of the best words of wisdom he said to me was that, like, whenever you're a freelance musician or a musician in general, or even whatever you do in life, you always want to have this idea of like a Ferris wheel going. So you have this idea like that you kind of have initially, so you throw that into the docket, and you have some things that are slowly happening with that, and so it's going, it's doing its thing, it's germinating, it's doing all that stuff. But then you have all these other ideas that are all in different parts of the Ferris wheel, and then you're always unloading something, as it happens, or sometimes it might go around a couple of times and things are going, but then all of a sudden all these things unload. But if you don't load anything back in, then you're kind of like setting yourself up for failure, because you're gonna have all this spare time. And so you always have to have these things consistently in motion. So there's always going to be consistent things that are in the very beginning process. But those are some of the things that are coming up pretty quick, which will be really fun.
Thanks to Emmett Fortosky, part of the TD Sask Jazz Intensive, for joining us on the podcast today. For more information for the TD Sask Jazz Intensive, where do you think we can go?
I would look up you can go to the Saskville, Saskatchewan website, and it's going to be under like a tab that's under Getting Involved, and then under the TD Jazz Intensive. So check out that, or else go into their Facebook page, and they have Instagram and stuff set up, so you can find all this different stuff with the links set up through all those different social media platforms. But yeah, go on their website, Saskatchewan Jazz Festival's website.
And then for your performances and a little bit more about you, where can we go?
My Facebook page, Emmett Fortosky Music. Check it out wherever that. So that's where I keep a whole events tab. I'm also going to be posting on Instagram, and also look into the Jazz Intensive events portion of their website, as I'll be on there for a couple different shows.
Good stuff. Thanks again, Emmett, for joining the Hey You Got Emmett podcast.
Thanks for having me.